Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a process video for you today. This is going to be day 5 of On the Brink from Bythewell4God. I am starting off with a page that's already partially started. This was the other half of day 1. If you watch that process video, I was creating, a full page at the same time and then cutting it in half. So now I'm just going to take this and I'm using some worn lipstick distress crayon, and I'm just going to go around the border of this and just add some more color in here. I want to use these flowers from the devotional kit and this little butterfly here. I just felt like they matched kind of the colors that were on this page. And so I'm just going to go around here and add in some color, just a very, very simple background. Most of everything that I, is already done here. So I just am kind of pulling in that mixed media look there. And I did want to add just a little bit of black to the background. So I'm using this stencil. This is from Crafter's Workshop. I've had it forever. I can't even remember the name of it. And then I'm just going to come in. I started with my blending tool there, and it was just too big. So I'm coming in with like a little makeup, little tiny one. I'm just going to add some black around the edges of all of this. So this day is titled The Fourth Man. And originally I had not intended to do this many process videos for this kit, but I'm actually really having a lot of fun. I'm just kind of sharing these techniques with you and also sharing some of my studies. It's been a lot of fun. I hope that that is something that you all are finding helpful as well. So while you watch me distress the edges of these flowers and get everything stuck down here, I just want to talk about this day. So obviously, we're looking into Daniel 3 and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and their situation there with Nebuchadnezzar. And of course, they knew already that they could not bow down to idols. In Exodus, it talks about that. And so when the king, when Nebuchadnezzar built his grand statue and was commanding everybody to bow down to it, they had already made the decision. So in Daniel 3:17, well, in verse 16, it says, "O king, we're not careful to answer you. We will not bow down. If the Lord saves us, he does. If he doesn't, either way, we're not going to bow down to your statue," basically. That's a paraphrase. But I always love that verse 16 that says, "We're not careful to answer you." They already had their mind made up. They knew what they were going to say. Sometimes, when we're faced with temptations, like we need to have the decision purpose in our heart ahead of time. Like when you're faced with temptation, that's not the time to decide that you're not going to do it. You need to decide, I'm not going to do this ahead of time. So they didn't need to consider how to react. They already knew. And so you just have to have your mind made up to do right no matter what. And the Lord will be with you in those kind of situations. There's several verses that this devotional talks about the Lord in Hebrews 13:5, that he'll never leave you or forsake you. But one of the verses that came to mind as I was studying this day is in Psalm 118, and it's in verse 8 and verse 9. It says, "It's better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man," in verse 8, and then it says in princes in verse 9, but it kind of repeats that. And so it's better to put your confidence in the Lord, whether, whatever his will is obviously going to be better than to put your confidence in man, or in this case, the king or whatever. They knew ahead of time they were not going to bow down. And so another verse that's mentioned in here is in Isaiah about fear not, don't be dismayed, I'm your God, I'll strengthen you. And so it just talks about, it's really, really better to just put your faith and your confidence in the Lord. Make those decisions ahead of time. And in the end, God proved himself strong, and there was the fourth man in the fire with them. He didn't save them from the furnace, but he was certainly with them inside it. And then another part of that story that I really love is that when they came out, when Nebuchadnezzar called them out, they didn't have a singed hair and they didn't even smell of smoke. If you can imagine that, how if you're like, my husband likes to grill, and if you're standing outside, just being out there, you smell like smoke, and you're certainly not standing in the middle of a furnace. So just that, even that is just miraculous. Like when God does something, he just does it well. He just does all things well and perfectly and completely. And so you can really just absolutely put your confidence in him that he is going to be there. If he says he's going to be there, he is going to be there for you. And so that's just a little side note for that today of the devotional. And I hope that this, like my study is, that I'm sharing with you is helpful. I know sometimes I kind of go off on little tangents when I'm studying in verses that are not necessarily in the devotional, but I think that's part of what makes these so personal and so important to really just spend the time doing, because you never know what things are going to stick out to you or what the Lord is going to show you in your studies. And this is just, your personal time with the Lord. So here I have finished now the outside of this devotional, and I'm working on the inside. So you can see I have little paint on the inside from when I was creating this page, which is no problem. I'm just going to cover it up. I had a kind of difficult time deciding how I wanted to do this, and then I thought I would just kind of bring in some more of this brown with some of this music paper. This is some vintage music paper that I've just had in my stash forever. So this seems like a good time to use it. It's an easy way to just cover up on the inside, and it's nice and thin, so it's not going to add any more bulk to this little signature than I already am adding with all of the pockets and notes and everything. So I am using a Yoo-Hoo glue stick to glue this down. This is one of my favorite glue sticks, especially for mixed media and collage type work. But I'm just going to glue this down. And the reason I'm doing that is just a super thin paper, and I want to make sure that it's glued all the way down. I don't want to have like little bubbles or whatever if if I just go around the outside of it with like a liquid adhesive, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to kind of work that fold in there, making sure that it stays down. And then I have my little pocket, and I don't think I talked about this, but I did have to trim this pocket down just a little bit to make it fold properly, but it was no big deal. Just kind of folded I just kind of cut down the sides of the long end of it, and then it was glued together. And I don't know if I just didn't fold it properly or whatever, but it's, it works fine. I just had to trim, just like shave it just a little bit. And then I decided to use the side kind of margin over there on the left side to put my title for this day, using those title starter stickers that says The Fourth Man. And then I have my little file folder, and you did see me kind of change the inside. I had to do that because the inside of this file folder had the little birds on the wire, and so because my pages aren't wide enough for this, I wanted to turn it on its side, but then the little birds on the wire were sideways, and my brain just couldn't handle it, so I just added some different paper in there. And then I'm stamping the Big Idea outline number 5, and then the little script on the inside. I did a second generation stamp, so that wouldn't quite be quite so bold, because I was using archival ink in Kitsch Flamingo, which is kind of bright, and on that pale pink folder it just would have stuck out a little bit too much. So putting all my little notes and everything here, all my little flashcards and the little library cards that fit perfectly inside these cute little pockets. I love pockets, as you all know if you've seen my channel before. And then I'm using this file folder for the big journaling cards that also have the scriptures and notes written on the back of them. And it just kind of felt like something was missing. And on that background paper, just, it was very stark, and trying to just kind of incorporate everything and give everything the same feel. So I'm going to pull out these stickers. These are clear stickers that released with the kit. And I'm just going to add a few little things here to try to pull all of these pieces together so they're not quite so discordant. So I have these ones that kind of look like paint splatters. I just added one of those to the file folder, and then adding little paint blobs to the background paper there, just to give it a little bit of color, and just to kind of tie everything together. It just felt like it made it a little bit more cohesive this way. And then I'm also going to go around the outside. Sometimes when I'm struggling with something, what I really need to do is just add a border, and so, or like distress the edge or something. It just, for some reason, just finishes it in my brain. I don't know why, but you're going to see me here. I'm just gluing down the file folder, making sure that's straight. I'm going to glue down the pocket as well, using Bearly Arts glue here. It's a nice strong glue that dries pretty quickly, and I'm just going to hold that for a second, just because that folder is pretty thick paper. And then I'm going to go around again, just with whatever is on so this is kind of archival ink in ground espresso and black soot, probably black, but it's dark, and you can just kind of see, it just helps frame everything. I didn't even pull out my ink pad. I just used whatever was left on the sponge, and just kind of helped finish everything, at least in my own mind. But I'm looking at this cover and I just feel like there needs to be something else, and so I thought I will pull in these little clear butterfly stickers, since I have the one butterfly. And then of course, if I am going to add, then I'm going to need to have 3. So I just kind of put them randomly on there, and I just feel like that finished the page just a little bit better. And then I had a question about what I'm doing with these pages from somebody just recently. And so I'm going to pull in my journal and just show you how these quickly slide in here so you can see my other days. And this twine binding signature here, I'm just going to slide it right into this folder, and then it will slide in and out. It's actually easier if I go from the other side, so I'm gonna do that here. It just slides into the thread and then folds closed like that, and I will just continue adding as the days progress. So if you liked this video, I would appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, bye.